Picture yourself nestled on a woven mat in a Han Dynasty courtyard, circa 100 CE, the air thick with the scent of sandalwood, rice wine, and the faint whiff of a neighbor's overcooked millet. The moon's up, the lanterns flicker, and someone's muttering about spirits before bolting the door for the night. In ancient China, from the Zhou to the Han, bedtime wasn't just about sleep. It was a ritualized dance of honoring ancestors, dodging ghosts, and hoping your pillow didn't offend the gods. These nightly routines, scribbled in texts like the Book of Rites or etched into tomb artifacts, blended Confucian duty, Taoist mysticism, and better check the almanac paranoia. We're not here to summon ancient spirits, leave that to the shamans, but to chuckle at their bedtime fuss, wrapped in the hum of a quiet Chinese night. So fluff your imaginary silk robe, ignore the distant creak of a bamboo gate, and let the rustle of reeds, the flicker of a lamp, and their earnest rituals lull you into a cozy, amused snooze. We're diving into 10 forgotten bedtime rituals, each a peek into the meticulous, slightly anxious world of ancient Chinese sleepers. From noble estates in Luoyang to peasant huts in the countryside, we'll wander through their nighttime habits, savoring the scent of incense, the clink of bronze vessels, and the sheer audacity of warding off demons with a well-placed broom. These rituals were a mix of piety, superstition, and hope I don't dream of that ghost. Grab a mental cup of tea, settle in, and let's giggle our way through the forgotten bedtime rituals of ancient China, each one a sleepy, snarky gem. Imagine curling up in a Zhou dynasty home, 800 BCE, the air heavy with the scent of incense, rice, and the faint whiff of a servant's sweaty tunic. Before bed, you're setting out a bowl of millet for the ancestors, hoping they don't haunt your dreams. The air is buzzing with the clink of bronze vessels, the rustle of silk, and the murmur of "Please stay happy, great-grandpa." The Book of Rites, Liji, details how households offered food to ancestors at night to ensure peace. Let's slip into this ancestral fuss, letting the flicker of a lantern, the whiff of smoke, and their earnest offerings make you chuckle as you drift toward sleep. Ancestors, per Confucian texts, needed nightly respect to keep the family safe. A small altar with rice or wine was set before bed, the air thick with the drone of prayers and the smell of incense. You'd probably mutter, "Hope this millet keeps Grandma's ghost quiet." Forgetting the offering risked bad luck, the air tense with the rustle of mats and the hope of ancestral approval. Life around this was dutiful. Homes hummed with altar prep, the air heavy with the clink of bowls and the scent of rice. Families arranging offerings whispered about ancestors, their voices low, the air warm with the chant of prayers and the effort of pleasing the dead. Neighbors sharing tea murmured about that haunted house, the air thick with the smell of millet and the whisper of "Don't skip the offering." The community loved the ritual, snickering over dumplings about a family's stingy rice, the air thick with fumes and the kind of laughter you get when ghosts expect dinner. Ancestors were demanding, and as the altar fades, let's shift to door-locking charms where spirits got barred. Picture yourself in a Qin dynasty village, 200 BCE, the air heavy with the scent of peach wood, ink, and the faint whiff of a farmer's muddy boots. You're hanging a peachwood charm on the door before bed, hoping it blocks wandering spirits. The air's buzzing with the clink of bronze locks, the rustle of talismans, and the murmur of "No ghosts tonight." Taoist texts, like those in the Biopuzi, describe using peach wood to ward off evil at night. Let's saunter into this charmed nightscape, letting the flicker of a lamp, the whiff of wood, and their ghostly fears make you snicker as you sink toward slumber. Peach wood, per Taoist beliefs, repelled spirits, with charms or branches hung at bedtime. A red-inked talisman might seal the door, the air thick with the drone of chance and the smell of ink. You'd probably mutter, "Hope this peach stops that ghost." Doors were locked with care, the air tense with the rustle of paper and the hope of a spirit-free night. Life around this was spooky. Villages hummed with charm crafting, the air heavy with the clink of knives carving wood and the scent of sap. Shamans hanging talismans warned of spirits, their voices grim, the air warm with the chant of spells and the effort of banishing evil. Neighbors sharing wine whispered about that haunted gate, the air thick with the smell of rice and the murmur of hang the charm. The community loved the ritual, snickering over noodles about a farmer's bad talisman. The air thick with fumes and the kind of laughter you get when ghosts are at the door. Charms were a must, and as the village fades, let's shift to almanac checks, where stars set the rules. Imagine sprawling in a Han Dynasty courtyard 100 CE, the air heavy with the scent of bamboo, wax, and the faint whiff of a scholar's spilled tea. You're flipping through an almanac, checking if tonight's stars allow sleep or demand rituals. The air is buzzing with the rustle of bamboo slips, the clink of an abacus, and the murmur of, "Is it a good night?" Han almanacs like those found in Mwangdui tombs guided bedtime based on cosmic cycles. Let's dive into this starry fuss, letting the flicker of a lantern, the whiff of ink, and their celestial nitpicking make you chuckle as you drift toward sleep. Almanacs, per archaeological finds, listed auspicious nights for sleep or rituals, with stars like the Big Dipper setting the tone. A bad star might mean stay up and pray, the air thick with the drone of calculations and the smell of wax. Scholars reading slips probably muttered, "Hope I read that star right." Bedtime hinged on the cosmos, the air tense with the rustle of bamboo and the hope of a good night. Life around this was nerdy. Courtyards hummed with almanac talk, the air heavy with the clink of brushes and the scent of ink. Scholars dodging grumpy families checked stars, their hands busy, the air warm with the rustle of slips and the effort of cosmic planning. Neighbors sharing rice whispered about that bad star night, the air thick with the smell of tea and the murmur of check the book. The community loved the precision, snickering over dumplings about a scholar's wrong star, the air thick with fumes and the kind of laughter you get when bedtime's a star chart. Almanacs were a chore, and as the courtyard fades, let's shift to incense burning, where smoke got sacred. Picture yourself in a Zhou dynasty bedroom, 700 BCE, the air heavy with the scent of sandalwood, silk, and the faint whiff of a servant's overdone broth. You're lighting incense before bed, hoping its smoke carries prayers to the gods. The air's buzzing with the clink of bronze burners, the rustle of robes, and the murmur of pleas, no bad dreams. The Book of Rites notes incense as a bedtime ritual to invite divine protection. Let's wander into this smoky sanctity, letting the flicker of a lamp, the whiff of sandalwood, and their pious puffs make you chuckle as you sink toward slumber. Incense, per Confucian texts, purified the room and pleased the gods, with sandalwood or agar wood burned at night. The smoke was meant to ward off evil, the air thick with the drone of chants and the smell of ash. You'd probably mutter, Hope this smoke keeps spirits away. Forgetting the incense risked divine ire, the air tense with the rustle of silk and the hope of a safe sleep. Life around us was fragrant. Homes hummed with burner prep, the air heavy with the clink of bronze and the scent of wood smoke. Families lighting incense whispered about gods, their voices low, the air warm with the chant of prayers and the effort of pleasing heaven. Neighbors, sharing wine, murmured about that smoky house, the air thick with the smell of rice and the whisper of "don't skip the burner." The community loved the ritual, snickering over noodles about a family's bad incense, the air thick with fumes, and the kind of laughter you get when smoke's your shield. Incense was a must, and as the bedroom fades, let's shift to bed placement, where Feng Shui got fussy. Imagine huddling in a Han Dynasty house, 50 CE, the air heavy with the scent of lacquer, bamboo, and the faint whiff of a neighbor's fishy stew. You're shifting your bed to face north, hoping it aligns with cosmic harmony and keeps spirits at bay. The air's buzzing with the creak of wood, the rustle of mats, and the murmur of "is this spot right?" Early Feng Shui principles, noted in Han texts like the Huananzi, guided bed placement for safe sleep. Let's slip into this geometric fuss, letting the flicker of a lantern, the whiff of lacquer, and their cosmic rearranging make you chuckle as you drift toward sleep. Feng Shui, per Han records, used cosmic alignments to place beds, with north often favored to avoid evil ki. A misaligned bed might invite ghosts, the air thick with the drone of advice and the smell of wood. You'd probably mutter, "Hope this bed's not haunted." Moving furniture was a ritual, the air tense with the rustle of mats and the hope of good energy. Life around this was meticulous. Homes buzzed with bed shifting, the air heavy with the clink of tools and the scent of bamboo. Scholars checking directions grumbled about ki, their voices stern, the air warm with the rustle of scrolls and the effort of cosmic balance. Neighbors sharing tea whispered about that bad bed spot, the air thick with the smell of rice and the murmur of "move it north." Community loved the precision, snickering over dumplings about a family's haunted bed, the air thick with fumes and the kind of laughter you get when sleep's a compass. Feng Shui was a chore, and as the house fades, let's shift to dream wards, where nightmares got blocked. Picture yourself in a Qin Dynasty hut, 210 BCE, the air heavy with the scent of hemp, ink, and the faint whiff of a farmer's muddy sandals. You're tucking a jade amulet under your pillow, hoping it keeps nightmares at bay. The air's buzzing with the clink of charms, the rustle of straw, and the murmur of no bad dreams. Taoist texts, like those in the Bio Pusi, describe dream wards like jade or talismans used at bedtime. Let's dive into this charmed slumber, letting the flicker of a lamp, the whiff of hemp, and their nightmare fears make you chuckle as you sink toward slumber. Dream wards, per Taoist beliefs, blocked evil spirits from invading sleep, with jade or paper talismans tucked near beds. A bad dream might mean a demon's visit, the air thick with the drone of prayers and the smell of ink. You'd probably mutter, "Hope this jade stops that ghost." Placing wards was a ritual, the air tense with the rustle of straw and the hope of peaceful dreams. Life around this was spooky. Huts hummed with charm talk, the air heavy with the clink of jade and the scent of hemp. Shamans crafting wards warned of nightmares, their voices low, the air warm with the chant of spells and the effort of banishing evil. Neighbors, sharing wine, whispered about that bad dream, the air thick with the smell of rice and the murmur of tuck the charm. The community loved the ritual, snickering over noodles about a farmer's haunted pillow, the air thick with fumes, and the kind of laughter you get when nightmares are a talisman's job. Wards were a must, and as the hut fades, let's shift to bedtime prayers where gods got chatty. Imagine lounging in a Han Dynasty estate, 150 CE, the air heavy with the scent of silk, wax, and the faint whiff of a scribe's spilled ink. You're kneeling by a shrine, muttering prayers to the gods for a safe night. The air's buzzing with the clink of bronze bells, the rustle of robes, and the murmur of please, no spirits. The Book of Rites notes bedtime prayers to deities like the kitchen god for protection. Let's wander into this pious nightscape, letting the flicker of a lantern, the whiff of myrrh, and their divine chats make you chuckle as you drift toward sleep. Prayers per Confucian texts sought divine favor before bed, with offerings to gods like Zhou. A skipped prayer might invite bad luck, the air thick with the drone of chants and the smell of wax. You'd probably mutter, "Hope the kitchen god's not grumpy." Nightly devotion was key, the air tense with the rustle of silk and the hope of godly approval. Life around this was devout. Estates hummed with prayer talk, the air heavy with the clink of bells and the scent of incense. Families, chanting hymns, whispered about gods, their voices low, the air warm with the rustle of scrolls and the effort of pleasing heaven. Neighbors sharing tea murmured about that prayerless house, the air thick with the smell of rice and the whisper of don't skip the chant. The community loved the ritual, snickering over dumplings about a family's bad prayer, the air thick with fumes and the kind of laughter you get when gods expect bedtime chats. Prayers were a duty, and as the estate fades, let's shift to broom sweeps where dust got spiritual. Picture yourself in a Zhou dynasty courtyard, 600 BCE, the air heavy with the scent of straw, dust, and the faint whiff of a servant's burnt porridge. You're sweeping the floor before bed, hoping to shoo away evil spirits. The air's buzzing with the swish of a broom, the clink of clay pots, and the murmur of no demons tonight. Folklore, noted in later Han texts, describes sweeping as a bedtime ritual to cleanse the home. Let's slip into this dusty sanctity, letting the flicker of a lamp, the whiff of straw, and their sweeping zeal make you chuckle as you sink toward slumber. Sweeping, per ancient beliefs, cleared spiritual grime with brooms chasing out bad ki before sleep. A dirty floor might invite ghosts, the air thick with the drone of chants and the smell of dust. You'd probably mutter, "Hope this sweep keeps spirits out." Nightly cleaning was a must, the air tense with the rustle of straw and the hope of a clean soul. Life around this was busy. Courtyards hummed with broom work, the air heavy with the clink of pots and the scent of rice. Servants, sweeping floors, grumbled about spirits, their voices low, the air warm with the swish of brooms and the effort of cleansing homes. Neighbors, sharing wine, whispered about that dirty house, the air thick with the smell of millet and the murmur of sweep it clean. The community loved the ritual, snickering over noodles about a servant's lazy broom, the air thick with fumes, and the kind of laughter you get when dust's a demon. Sweeping was a chore, and as the courtyard fades, let's shift to bedtime tea, where herbs got calming. Imagine sprawling in a Han Dynasty bedroom, 200 CE, the air heavy with the scent of chrysanthemum silk, and the faint whiff of a scholar's spilled tea. You're sipping an herbal brew before bed, hoping it soothes your soul and keeps nightmares away. The air's buzzing with the clink of cups, the rustle of mats, and the murmur of calm the key. Medical texts like the Huangdi Neijing suggest herbal teas for bedtime calm. Let's dive into this soothing sip, letting the flicker of a lantern, the whiff of herbs, and their tea-time fuss make you chuckle as you drift toward sleep. Herbal teas, Perhan medicine, balance the body's ki, with chrysanthemum or ginseng calming the mind. A bad brew might mean restless sleep, the air thick with the drone of sipping and the smell of herbs. You'd probably mutter, "Hope this tea stops bad dreams." Brewing was a ritual, the air tense with the rustle of silk and the hope of a peaceful night. Life around this was cozy. Homes hummed with tea prep, the air heavy with the clink of cups and the scent of ginseng. Families brewing herbs whispered about health, their voices soft, the air warm with the rustle of mats and the effort of calming ki. Neighbors sharing rice murmured about that bad brew, the air thick with the smell of tea and the whisper of steep it right. The community loved the ritual, snickering over dumplings about a family's weak tea. The air thick with fumes and the kind of laughter you get when sleep's a sip. Tea was a balm, and as the bedroom fades, let's shift to window checks, where moonlight got tricky. Imagine huddling in a Qin Dynasty hut, 220 BCE, the air heavy with the scent of bamboo wax and the faint whiff of a farmer's muddy cloak. You're checking the window shutters before bed, ensuring no moonlight lets spirits sneak in. The air's buzzing with the creak of wood, the rustle of straw, and the murmur of "block the moon." Taoist folklore, noted in later texts, warns of spirits entering via moonlight. Let's wander into this lunar paranoia, letting the flicker of a lamp, the whiff of bamboo, and their window fuss make you chuckle as you sink toward slumber. Windows, per ancient beliefs, were spirit portals, with moonlight inviting ghosts if left open. Shutters were bolted tight, the air thick with the drone of chants and the smell of wax. You'd probably mutter, "Hope this shutter stops that spirit." Checking windows was a ritual, the air tense with the rustle of straw and the hope of a ghost-free night. Life around this was nervy. Huts hummed with window checks, the air heavy with the clink of latches and the scent of bamboo. Families securing shutters grumbled about spirits, their voices low, the air warm with the creak of wood and the effort of blocking moonlight. Neighbors, sharing wine, whispered about that open window, the air thick with the smell of rice and the murmur of "bolt it tight." The community loved the ritual, snickering over noodles about a farmer's moony ghost. The air thick with fumes and the kind of laughter you get when moonlight's a menace. Windows were a worry, and as the hut fades, let's wrap up with a final reflection, tying these rituals together with a smirk. When we look at the forgotten bedtime rituals of ancient China, the first surprise is how familiar so many of them feel when compared with modern life. On the surface, we might laugh at the idea of warding off spirits with peach wood charms, or worrying that the moon's light could sneak in demons. Yet when we peel back the language of mysticism and step away from the flicker of oil lamps, what emerges is the same human impulse we carry today, the need for reassurance before surrendering ourselves to the vulnerability of sleep. Sleep, after all, is the only moment each day when we cannot control our bodies, our environment, or the world around us. Ancient Chinese families filled that gap with ritual. We fill it with routines, habits, and technology. Take ancestor offerings, for example. In Zhou or Han households, a bowl of millet or rice wine on an altar meant more than food. It was a way of ensuring continuity, gratitude, and protection. The belief was that appeased ancestors would bless the family with health, wealth, and calm sleep. Today, we may not leave food on an altar, but the instinct hasn't vanished. Many modern households keep family photos in places of honor, light candles on anniversaries, or speak prayers at night for departed loved ones. Even small habits like scrolling through old family pictures before bed or whispering good night to a late parent or grandparent echo that same impulse to weave the memory of loved ones into the quiet of the night so that rest feels safer and less lonely. Door-locking charms carved from peach wood feel far removed from our world. But what are our nightly locks, chains, and alarm systems if not their descendants? Instead of invoking Taoist spirits, we hang cameras and sensors that glow red in the dark. The language has shifted from supernatural threat to criminal danger, but the psychology is the same. The fear of intrusion during the night. For an ancient farmer, a charm sealed with red ink was a wall against the invisible. For us, a deadbolt or a security app is our talisman. Both speak to the same restless thought. I hope nothing comes through that door while I'm sleeping. The almanac checks of the Han Dynasty might strike us as particularly strange. Imagine flipping through bamboo slips, calculating if the stars align for sleep that night. Yet today we do almost the same, though in different clothing. Instead of star charts, we consult sleep hygiene guides, wellness blogs, or smartphone apps. We ask, did I drink too much coffee? Did I stare at screens too long? Is tonight's moon full? Will I toss and turn? Astrology apps still exist and flourish, proving that cosmic reassurance still comforts many. The difference is that where a Han scholar muttered, "Hope I read that star right," we mutter, "Hope my Fitbit didn't catch a bad sleep score." Incense burning is another ritual that hasn't really disappeared. Ancient Chinese homes filled with the smell of sandalwood or agar wood were designed to purify air, soothe minds, and ward off spirits. Today, essential oil diffusers, scented candles, or sticks of lavender incense stand on bedside tables across the world. We may say it's for relaxation or mindfulness rather than for pleasing the gods, but the effect is identical. Fragrance transforms a space into a sanctuary. The gentle plume of smoke is a symbol of transition, from activity to rest, from day's chaos to night's peace. Even modern research tells us smell anchors memory and emotion, so perhaps ancient wisdom wasn't entirely mystical, after all. Feng Shui bed placement also lingers in modern culture, though under slightly different guises. While we may not fret about qi in the same way, interior design guides and sleep studies warn against placing beds directly under windows, facing mirrors, or against noisy walls. Architects talk about flow, designers about harmony, psychologists about creating restful environments, but it all circles back to the same thing: arranging space so the sleeper feels safe. An ancient family muttered, "I hope this bed's not haunted," while we mutter, "I hope the traffic noise doesn't wake me." Different vocabulary, same human yearning for control. Dream wards, too, are not far from us. Jade charms tucked under pillows may sound fanciful, but consider the dream catchers hung in modern bedrooms. or even the stuffed animals children clutch at night. These objects are imbued with protective power, sometimes cultural, sometimes personal, sometimes placebo. Adults today may scoff at charms, yet many quietly keep mementos by their bedside: a wedding ring, a religious symbol, or a lucky stone. Even in the secular world, we seem reluctant to surrender sleep without some protective token nearby. Prayers to the kitchen god may seem particularly alien. Imagine whispering to a household deity before bed. Yet today, millions still pray nightly, asking saints, angels, or God for protection. Even in secular homes, nightly reflection, gratitude journaling, or mindfulness meditation performs the same function. These practices mark the day's end, draw attention to the unseen, and build trust in forces beyond our control. The prayer's form may have shifted, but the desire to outsource nighttime anxiety remains alive and well. Sweeping out evil spirits before bed may have been symbolic in Zhou courtyards, but who among us does not tidy before sleeping? Parents straighten toys, adults clear dishes, and even the habit of resetting the kitchen each night is a modern echo of sweeping bad qi. Cleanliness is tied to psychological peace. A messy room can leave us restless. Science supports what Zhou households felt intuitively. That order in the physical space reduces anxiety in the mental space, creating better sleep. Herbal teas may be the most enduring of all. Chrysanthemum in the Han Dynasty finds its counterpart in chamomile, lavender, or valerian today. Whether prescribed by ancient physicians or modern nutritionists, the idea is the same. Ingest something natural, gentle, and soothing to bridge the waking body to the sleeping mind. Modern supplements, gummies, or melatonin pills are just high-tech echoes of boiling herbs in bronze kettles. What unites them is the belief that sleep can be guided, not forced, through ritual ingestion. Finally, the shuttering of moonlight might seem the strangest. To ancient Taoist minds, moonlight was a spirit's pathway. To us, light pollution is the culprit. Yet we, too, cover windows with blackout curtains, eye masks, or smart shades, fearing not demons but insomnia triggered by LEDs or headlights. The principle is unchanged. Light at the wrong time disrupts sleep, whether understood as spiritual intrusion or circadian confusion. Even modern sleep scientists recommend total darkness, proving again that what once was superstition often carries kernels of physiological truth. The broader comparison is this: ancient Chinese bedtime rituals might look elaborate, mystical, and even comical to us, but their underlying motivations are our own. They sought safety, order, meaning, and rest in a world that was unpredictable. We, too, seek to guard against chaos through apps, alarms, medicine, and mindfulness. The technologies differ, but the bedtime mindset is timeless. Sleep is vulnerability, and rituals, whether mystical or modern, are our shields. Perhaps the most important insight is how ritual itself soothes. It isn't only the effectiveness of peach wood or herbal tea. It's the repetition, the sense of continuity, the rhythm of doing something every night. Modern psychology now calls this sleep hygiene or habit stacking, but the effect is ancient. Rituals quiet the mind by turning worry into action. The sweep of a broom, the sip of tea, the lock of a door, the dim of a screen, all are ways of saying, the world is safe enough now to let go. In the end, comparing ancient Chinese bedtime to our own reminds us that humans have never simply gone to sleep. We prepare, we protect, we imagine, and we negotiate with the night. The Zhou dynasty farmer and the modern city dweller both fumble through little acts of reassurance, small dances that bridge day and dream. Their millet, our chamomile, their charms, our deadbolts. Their almanacs, our apps. Across 2,000 years, the need is the same. To fall asleep, not just as bodies collapsing, but as people cradled by meaning, ritual, and hope. As the hum of ancient china fades, the clink of bronze vessels, the rustle of silk, the scent of incense and slightly burnt millet, let your mind flop into the quiet like a scholar after a long night of star-checking. We've wandered through the forgotten bedtime rituals of ancient China, from ancestor offerings to window bolts, each a testament to their meticulous, spirit-fearing world. Their nights were a whirlwind of prayers, charms, and did I sweep that ghost out? Yet they were also a place where rituals brought order to the chaos of sleep. Picture yourself now tucked into a soft bed, the air still and the fuss of their nighttime habits. Far away, their earnest chants, a distant chuckle. These rituals, quirky and pious, remind us that even in history's sleepiest corners, people were gloriously, messily human. Let the details slip away like a lantern flickering out in a bamboo courtyard. The smoky altars, the creaky shutters, the taste of tea and spirit-soaked air, they fade into the background, leaving only the peace of this moment and a lingering smirk. You've journeyed through a world where bedtime was a cosmic chore, its people's careful sweeps and prayers keeping its story alive. Now it's time to rest, to let go of the ancient antics and sink into calm. Close your eyes if you haven't already, and let the gentle absurdity of history lull you into sleep, safe in the silliness of now.